Help me to reach 2,000 subscribers. The laughter came first, sharp, unfiltered, and strangely intimate. It sliced through the gentle hum of polite applause like glass against silk. Then came her voice, playful and reckless, echoing through the hall speakers. To 23 years of dedication, she said, pausing for effect, and to the woman who never knew she was sharing him with the office. A ripple of confused laughter followed. Some thought it was a joke. Others turned their heads. I felt my heart stop. The microphone squealed as she realized what she'd said, but it was too late. The words hung in the air like smoke. My husband, Robert, stood frozen beside her, his practiced smile twitching into something unrecognizable. For a moment, time fractured. I could see every detail with horrifying clarity. The flicker of fluorescent light on the cake knife, the champagne bottle sweating in a silver bucket, the way Robert's hand tightened around the stem of his glass until his knuckles went white. Then I heard my own voice, soft and shaking. What did you mean by that? The room fell silent. The coworker, Linda, blinked, her smirk faltering. She looked at Robert, then at me, panic creeping behind her mascara. Oh, I was just joking, she said too quickly, brushing a strand of hair behind her ear. Office humor, you know. But I knew. God, I knew. The rest of the night unraveled in awkward fragments. People avoided my eyes. The speeches ended early. Someone switched the music on, too loud, as if noise could drown out humiliation. Robert tried to laugh it off. She's just drunk, honey, he whispered, pulling me aside. You know how Linda is. But his voice trembled. And that tremor, tiny, human, involuntary, cracked everything open. I smiled for the photos. I clapped when they gave him his gold watch. I even helped him carry the gift boxes to the car. But my insides felt hollow, scraped clean. The whole drive home, I watched the reflection of his face in the window, searching for truth in the lines I thought I knew. When we reached home, he tried to kiss me goodnight. I turned away. I'm tired, I said. It was the truth, but not the kind that could be fixed with sleep. That night, I couldn't close my eyes. I kept replaying her toast, the inflection in her voice, the way she looked at him, not like a coworker but like someone with ownership. At 2 a.m., I went to his study. His briefcase was still on the desk. I knew it was wrong, but after 23 years of loyalty, I needed to see what kind of man I had really loved. Inside, everything was meticulously organized: receipts, contracts, photos from company picnics. But at the bottom, folded between old reports, I found a single envelope. No name. Just a lipstick mark on the flap. My hands shook as I opened it. Inside was a note written on cream stationery. You promised it wouldn't just end with retirement. You promised you'd tell her. No signature. But I didn't need one. The next morning, Robert was making coffee like nothing had changed. The smell of dark roast filled the kitchen, thick and bitter. Rough night, he said, smiling, though the smile didn't reach his eyes. You were quiet. You all right? I placed the note on the counter between us. Who's she? He looked at it, then at me. His face drained of color. Where did you get that? You didn't answer the question. He sighed, rubbing his temples. It's not what you think. I laughed, a sound that didn't even sound like me. Robert, it's always what I think. He tried to explain. Said it started innocently. Said Linda was just someone who listened. Said I had been distant lately, too busy with my mother's illness, too tired to notice how lonely he'd felt. I listened. Every word was another dagger he handed me willingly. You were lonely, I repeated. So you cheated. He swallowed. It wasn't supposed to happen. That's the problem with things that aren't supposed to happen, I said quietly. They still do. The days after that blurred together. I told him I needed space, and he didn't fight me. He slept in the guest room. Every morning, he made 2 cups of coffee out of habit, then poured mine down the sink when I didn't come downstairs. He tried to talk. He tried to explain that it was just emotional at first, that he never planned to betray me. But betrayal doesn't need planning. It grows in silence, in glances, in words you shouldn't say but do anyway. I replayed our years together, our wedding, our children, our vacations, our arguments that always ended with forgiveness. I wondered how many of those years had been shared. A week later, Linda called. "I think we should talk," she said. Her voice was steadier than I expected. "He's not telling you everything." I met her at a cafe downtown, the kind of place where people pretend to read while eavesdropping. She wore a navy coat, her lipstick the same shade as the mark on that envelope. "I didn't mean for it to come out like that," she said, stirring her coffee. "But I was tired of being the secret." I stared at her. "So you humiliated me instead?" Tears welled in her eyes, but she blinked them away. "He told me he was leaving you after retirement. That you'd grown apart. That you were more like roommates." My stomach turned. "He said that?" She nodded. "He promised we'd start a life together. But when the time came, he said he couldn't hurt you. That you depended on him." I sat there in silence, feeling something inside me split between rage and pity. Pity for her foolishness. Rage for mine. When I finally spoke, my voice was calm. "You weren't his escape, Linda. You were his fantasy. I was his reality." That night, I confronted him again. No screaming this time, no tears. Just truth. "She told me everything," I said. Robert closed his eyes. "I made a mistake." "No," I whispered. "You made a choice." He opened his mouth to speak, but I stopped him. I believed loyalty was love. I believed forgiveness was strength. I was wrong. He reached for my hand. I pulled it away. "After 23 years, I finally see you clearly," I said. "And I wish I didn't." 3 months later, his office held another gathering, a farewell lunch for Linda. I wasn't invited, but word got back to me. She'd quit, moved to another city. Robert retired quietly. No more toasts, no more speeches. Just silence and an empty gold watch ticking on his dresser. Sometimes, late at night, I still hear her voice in my head, laughing into that microphone, shattering the illusion I built my life on. And sometimes, I thank her. Because betrayal, as cruel as it is, tells you the truth no one else will. It tells you who you were loving all along.